So, Matt, we're filming this video on Tuesday to give full disclosure. We had to kind of wait to see how this card was going to shake out. But in terms of the seating on the card, I think somebody just took darts and threw it at a wall. You know that room that Dana White has with everybody's name? That's kind of creepy, but it makes sense. Somebody just started throwing darts, and they landed on this fight very, very high up the card. We have the Crochet Boss, Maurice Greene, taking on Rogerio De Lima. And if you look at it, both of these guys came into the UFC off The Ultimate Fighter. For Maurice Greene, he came in on the season of heavy hitters with my guy, Juan Espino. And listen, did he win the season? No, Juan won it. Did Rogerio De Lima win the season? No, Shoeface won it. PFL standout. But if you look at it for De Lima, he came into the UFC years ago. So far, 6-5 record, 5 of his wins by finish. If you look at it in his last fight, he didn't look all that good. He actually fought Alexander Romanov, and I've never seen a more meathead choke in my entire life. Romanov just put his forearm into the throat and put him to sleep, and that's just disgusting. And sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night with nightmares because of it. Yikes. But
just Alexander Romanov's in your closet.
Hopefully not. And with Maurice Greene, you look at it in his last fight, he fought Greg Hardy. And the weird thing, too, you look at Maurice Greene, I don't know what site you reference, but for me, I try ESPN, I try Instagram, I try Tapology, I try Sherdog. Usually, though, the best representation is Instagram. A lot of fighters post very often. You know, you got to build your brand, you got to build awareness, and you get an idea and a sense of what they're doing in the gym. For Maurice Greene, he had kind of made that publicized change of camps to Jackson Wink. And then you saw him in his last fight, and I know we kind of joked about it. He was taking on Greg Hardy. Is he going to come out here and kind of fight like a copy of John Jones? Well, boy, did he ever. He kind of stood out there with his hands out. You kind of worried about the eye pokes. But that was what he did, and he was switching stances. The thing that Maurice Greene did well in that fight was he was starting to land some kicks, but there wasn't enough volume. He was landing the kicks, but not enough volume. And in one of the weirdest finishes I've ever seen, and if you check it out on the internet, and I make fun of Matt every week for this, a power jab put him down. Now, for me, when I think of my mind's eye of a power jab, it's the old WWE. You know, when they punch somebody, but they'd fake it, so they'd stomp their foot, and I figure, oh, that's power jab. But what Greg Hardy actually did was he kind of threw like a lazy shovel hook, and it's just the force of that punch knocked Maurice Greene down. Hardy kind of follows it up, and then he ends up getting the finish. Was it an early stoppage? Yeah, Maurice Greene seemed to think so. It was kind of wonky, but still, I was fine with it. You know, he got dropped. He kind of had his wits about him, but it was a decent stoppage. Rogerio De Lima, very credited striker. Maurice Greene is a striker and has a kickboxing background. What are you making of it?
So, I don't think a light heavyweight has gained more weight since Daniel Cormier, and that would have to be Rogerio De Lima, because here's the thing. You have to remember, this guy fought at 205 pounds at one point, and he almost tips the scales at heavyweight at the max of what you can possibly weigh. He's thick at heavyweight. And here's the good thing about De Lima. I know what I'm going to get from him pretty much every single time in the cage. He's got great hooks, he's got good overhands, he's just got good Muay Thai and decent takedown defense. It's not like he's going to offer you crazy submissions off his back or anything. Can he get back up to his feet? Well, he's not great at it, but again, with De Lima, I know what I'm going to get for the most part. He is a decent Muay Thai fighter. He's got, I would say, fast hands for the division. It's not like he's Stipe Miocic or anything, but he can string together combinations. My issue with De Lima, though, is he is quite small for this division. I do bring up the light heavyweight because he was at that division at one point, and against Maurice Greene, who stands at 6'7", like, we're going to see basically a thick light heavyweight fight the biggest heavyweight you can possibly fight. And it's not like Iwan Kutalaba's going in there against Alexander Volkov. It's not criminal like that, but it is going to be really weird for De Lima to get used to his range in this fight because he's going to have to get so close to Maurice Greene to land anything. But I do think De Lima's striking is just on such another level in this fight that Greene's going to have a really tough time on the outside.
You look at it for Rogerio De Lima, and I went through the weights because his first fight in the UFC was at heavyweight, and he weighed 235. And then you look at it, he was consistently making light heavyweight until he didn't. And then he weighed in at 209.6 when he fought Jeremy Kimball. Now he starched him, but then after that, he missed weight when he fought OSP, and then ultimately he had to come up to heavyweight. And it's not like, okay, you know, he's an older guy, but he's probably going to weigh in around that new tradition of like 235, 240. It's 258, 259, like, and he's thick. And I get it. He trades an American Top Team, great strength of training partner, whether it's Nikita Krylov to kind of work your ground game, Andrei Arlovsky to work your striking, and so on and so forth. But Rogerio De Lima, you watch him fight, and I think the perfect fight to kind of bring up, and it's well, Ben Sassoli's probably not going to hear it, but Ben Sassoli, if you go and watch that fight, Rogerio's like, listen, I'm a one-round fighter now because I'm older and I'm a Muay Thai guy, and he just rips hooks and he rips kicks, and he looks amazing. And Sasoli wears it until he can't anymore and he falls down.
It's just that big storm is a big problem to deal with. I know De Lima's older. I know he's a smaller heavyweight. And I know Craig's are making faces when I say good things about him. But like,
he has bad takedown defense.
But De Lima at heavyweight moving forward against anybody, especially a guy like Maurice Greene, who is so green in his stand-up, because this is my problem with Maurice Greene. He got dropped by Jean Vellante. You need to remember that. Jean Vellante, and I'm just going to say it now, is the worst fighter in UFC history. Feel free, comment down below if you know a worst fighter in UFC history.
Marcus Mariano.
I think Jean Vellante is probably worse. He is just not good. And the fact that he was able to do to Maurice Greene what I think De Lima has to do to beat him. He got on the inside. He was able to lay in power. Now, Jean Vellante just has the worst cardio and zero fight IQ. So he jumped on top of Maurice Greene and got like hugged to death while Greene was on the bottom. One of the weirdest stoppages in UFC history. I don't recommend looking it up just because it's so sad of a finish. But Maurice Greene was losing a fight to Jean Vellante at heavyweight. That's a real thing that was happening. I think Marcus Rogerio De Lima is going to knock him out, and I don't think that's that controversial of an opinion. I don't think this fight's going to be competitive. I think Greene has okay grappling. I know we've seen him in there. It's kind of weird, too, because I actually think Greene's not a bad grappler. They've just put him against good grapplers, it seems, during his tenure in the UFC. I just don't know what Greene can do in this fight to win. If he can get the takedown, maybe he can make something work in the top position. I don't think he's a good enough grappler to get a submission unless he has like 4 minutes left in the round. I don't think he can just go out there and find a submission on a guy like De Lima. I think De Lima's probably going to knock him out.
I look at Maurice Greene's run, and for the longest time, he's one of those guys, and I thought, okay, like, he'll eventually make it to the UFC. He's got that kickboxing background. He fought with glory. He lost to Anderson Silva, not that Anderson Silva. He lost to Chai Lewis Perry, who had beef with John Jones at one point. He lost to, who else? Like fighters that are good at kickboxing but aren't like regular MMA guys. And again, that's poor example. Anderson Silva, the other one, and Chai Lewis Perry, who does have an MMA background. And then I look at it. So he has an LFA title fight, and that's when he kind of came onto my radar, start of Fight Night picks. He loses to Geoff Hughes. All right, that's fair. Both of those guys are kind of on the level. Like, they might end up in the UFC. Then he goes into the Ultimate Fighter. He beats Przemysław Musiala. That means nothing to me. Przemysław, old in his career. He loses to Juan Espino. Well, that's going to happen. Then he ends up in the UFC. He beats Michel Batista, who's 4-0. That was Michel Batista's only fight in the UFC. He beats Geoff Hughes by split decision, who did not look like the Geoff Hughes of LFA when he was in the UFC. Geoff Hughes did not look good. Then he beats Junior Albini, the big baby, who didn't last in the UFC that long. Loses to Pavlovich, loses to Oleinik, beats Jean Vellante, loses to Hardy. So I know you're not a ranked heavyweight, but where is Maurice Greene? It's for a guy to kind of reinvent his style a little bit at 34, almost 35. It's just odd to me. Rogerio De Lima's done the same thing for a long time. So I like the consistency with De Lima. Do I feel confident in either one of these guys? No. Is it a pop and popcorn fight for me? 100%. But I look at the odds in this one. Greene open to plus 155. He's still about there. Rogerio De Lima open to minus 180. He's still about there. If we look at the fan vote and Tapology, kind of surprising. 921 total votes. 66% Rogerio De Lima. 77% by knockout. For the 34% that have Greene, it's split. 27 by decision. 34% by submission. 30% by knockout. So the fans going with Rogerio De Lima. I'm going with Rogerio De Lima. I think it's just going to be an early storm. And if he doesn't get caught by one of those kind of long hooks or an uppercut from Greene, he should be able to withstand it. But it's a wonky fight at the top of the card.
It's a bad fight for Maurice Greene. I just see Marcos pressuring him up against the cage. Greene doesn't have good striking defense. Rogerio De Lima has good hand speed and still has good power at the division. It's pretty simple. I think De Lima's got this one in the bag.
Both of us going with Marcos Rogerio De Lima to get the win. Looking forward to the fight. Let us know down below if you're going with Crochet Boss. Maybe like his Instagram stories or his Instagram live. But yeah, we've got Cowboy Cerrone, Alex Oliveira, and Marina Rodriguez, Michelle Waterson to take us home. So Matt, keep locked in with Fight Night Picks, as we always say. Let's get into it.